Aloha and good afternoon. Thank you for joining us here on This Is Now. We begin with a live look out over Hilo because take a look at that rain. It is some severe weather out there. And in fact, today is a first alert weather day for the islands of Maui and Hawaii Island. Now, this was declared by our severe weather team because a plume of deep tropical moisture will be moving in through the state. This will combine with an upper level disturbance to bring some heavy showers and the potential for isolated thunderstorms. Now, a flash flood watch has been issued for those islands starting late Sunday night through Tuesday afternoon. And the National Weather Service based in Honolulu said the flood watch will be in effect from 4 a.m. Monday through 6 p.m. Tuesday. We will have more on your severe weather coming up later in the show.
And you can see the rain coming down there in Hilo. And meanwhile, with Election Day just hours away, former President Donald Trump and Vice President Harris are hitting key battleground states to get their supporters ready to go to the polls in one of the closest presidential elections in memory. Natalie Brand has more from the White House.
Vice President Kamala Harris is spending Election Eve crisscrossing Pennsylvania, starting the day with campaign volunteers in Scranton.
As we are canvassing, let's be intentional about building community, about building coalitions, about reminding people we all have so much more in common than what separates us.
The Harris team says it's hit more than 5 million doors across the make-or-break state.
They have knocked on my door, yes, and I noticed that we have people coming from a number of different states and knocking on doors.
Later tonight in Pittsburgh and Philadelphia, more star power, including Katy Perry, Lady Gaga, and Oprah Winfrey, campaigning for the vice president.
Former President Donald Trump is hitting 3 states, including making stops in 2 of the same Pennsylvania cities as Vice President Harris. He's ending the day in Western Michigan and started it in North Carolina.
I'm doing 4 of these things today. They're big. And the voice is holding up just about barely.
After a marathon election season, Trump is focusing his closing message on immigration and the economy.
When I see the polling, I see that inflation and the economy are number 1, which is sort of standard. But I really would like to put that because we're going to close up that border so fast.
Polling shows the 7 battleground states all still very close. More than 79 million Americans across the country have already voted early ahead of Election Day. Natalie Brand, CBS News, the White House.
On this election eve, state officials around the country are working to ensure election security and safety. And federal officials are keeping a very close eye on all kinds of threats, both foreign and domestic. Danya Backus is in the battleground state of Arizona.
State officials around the country are reassuring voters of smooth sailing at the polls Tuesday.
Don't let this opportunity to make your voice heard pass you by.
More than 78 million Americans have already cast their ballots. Georgia's Secretary of State says about 65% of votes in his state were cast early, and he's confident in the system's integrity.
We have the cleanest voter list in the entire country. We have photo ID for all forms of voting. At the end of the day, it's going to be fair and fast and accurate.
The FBI is operating a 24/7 National Election Command Post to respond to any election security issues.
Those threats include criminal threats, such as threats to election workers, foreign malign influence, cyber threats, and acts of domestic violence.
3 linked groups.
The FBI already warned of 2 phony videos online, one about election security, claiming to be from the agency. U.S. officials believe it's the work of a Russian-backed disinformation campaign. 97% of the country, including key battlegrounds like here in Arizona, will be voting on paper ballots, which can be audited or recounted if problems arise. But typical problems, as basic as traffic, can be expected.
Don't allow those normal kind of problems that we see in every election to be leveraged to make you believe there's some kind of massive conspiracy that no one is talking about.
Additional fencing surrounds the U.S. Capitol and other buildings in Washington, D.C., and some businesses are boarded up as the Department of Homeland Security assesses how some are, quote, calling for violence as a response to election fraud narratives. Danya Backus, CBS News, Phoenix.
Lawyers for Elon Musk's Political Action Committee defended the PAC's $1 million a day voter sweepstakes in court today. In a hearing, a lawyer for Musk's America PAC told the Philadelphia judge that the so-called winners are not chosen by chance, but are instead chosen to be paid spokespeople for the group. The lawyer, Chris Gober, also said that they are chosen based on their personal stories and sign a contract with the political organization. Philadelphia District Attorney Larry Krasner called the sweepstakes an illegal lottery and asked the judge to shut it down.
No district attorney, no prosecutor, I don't care how powerful they are, can take away the First Amendment freedoms that are the bedrock of this nation. We don't allow our rights to be trampled upon by partisan agendas masquerading as legal arguments. In the end, truth will not be bullied.
Musk did not attend the hearing. Pennsylvania remains a key battleground state with 19 electoral votes up for grabs. And there has been a lot of speculation about the big gender gap and how women will impact the race, especially in the battleground state of Pennsylvania. Weijia Jiang reports.
She's a self-proclaimed lifelong conservative.
Friends don't let friends vote Democrat. Yeah, boy, you have come a long way.
But the group Stephanie Sharp co-founded, Women for Us,
What happens in Vegas stays in Vegas, is the message, yeah.
Is urging fellow Republican women to vote for Vice President Kamala Harris, turned off by former President Trump's rhetoric toward women.
I want to protect the women of our country, whether the women like it or not. I'm going to protect them.
And his role in reversing Roe v. Wade.
We'll send Donald Trump packing and have compromise on issues that are important to all of us.
In Pennsylvania, they are targeting voters in the Philadelphia suburbs that helped President Biden win the state 4 years ago.
I heard you talking about a clandestine sisterhood. What does that mean?
There are, again, hundreds of thousands of Republican women out there who are ready to vote outside their party, but they don't want to talk about it.
Across the battleground states, Post-it notes like these popping up in women's bathroom stalls are aimed at the so-called silent Harris supporter.
Did you make the right choice?
Sure did, honey.
So are campaign ads like this one, narrated by Julia Roberts.
Remember, what happens in the booth stays in the booth.
These Trump supporters are skeptical of polling that shows Harris has a big lead among women.
God, I have a big group of families, and I don't know one woman who isn't going to go in there and proudly vote for Donald J. Trump.
For them, it's about policy, not personality.
We're not going home with him. We're not sitting and eating at the dining room table with him every night. But actions speak louder than words. And his actions are more aligned with my faith, with my family, and the values that we hold dear.
A senior Trump campaign official tells us that even if Harris performs better with women, they believe that Trump's popularity among men will be more impactful. One strategy, they are flooding rural areas looking for men who usually don't vote to get them to the polls. Weijia Jiang, CBS News, Philadelphia.
America's presidential election is being watched around the globe, but Ukraine is tracking it especially close, waiting to see how the outcome might affect ongoing U.S. support in their conflict with Russia. Tina Kraus has more.
In Ukraine's capital city of Kyiv, residents are watching and waiting to see what America decides on Election Day. Our future depends on what happens on November 5th, this man says. The U.S. has supplied Ukraine with over $60 billion in military assistance since Russia invaded in 2022. While Harris has pledged to keep supporting Ukraine's defense, Trump says he won't keep the aid coming and can end the war in 24 hours if he's elected, though he hasn't said how. This Ukrainian says if Harris wins, it will be a continuation of the sham assistance to Ukraine, which means they'll talk and do nothing. If Trump wins, he'll most likely push to end the war and give away a share of Ukraine's territory. In either case, Ukraine loses. American Ahmed Khan will be watching the election results from Ukraine as a human rights advocate supporting the Ukrainian people.
I would just say to the American people and the future American president that they should really need to spend more time understanding who the people of Ukraine are, what the people of Ukraine are fighting for.
Are you reloaded?
Ukrainian forces are losing ground in eastern Ukraine faster than they have in years. Russia now occupies about 20% of their country. Tina Kraus, CBS News, London.
A man was stabbed multiple times in the Kapalama area. This happened at around 10:45 last night. This was near Kapalama Avenue and Makanani Drive near Kamehameha schools. Paramedics treated a 22-year-old who suffered several wounds to the torso with an unknown object. He was rushed to the hospital in serious condition. No word on a possible suspect in the case. Meanwhile, HPD is looking for the man suspected of stabbing a 19-year-old multiple times. EMS crews were called to the Kahuiki Village housing community on Nimitz Highway at around 10:15 Friday night. The male victim was rushed to the hospital, and at last check, he was in critical condition. An attempted murder case has been opened. No other details about the suspect have been made. A woman is hospitalized after she was hit by a vehicle in the Kaimuki area. It happened at around 3:30 p.m. yesterday at the intersection of Harding and 6th Avenues. The driver remained at the scene. The woman was rushed to the hospital in critical condition. Speed, drugs, and alcohol do not appear to be factors in the crash. On Kauai, multiple agencies are searching for a snorkeler who was last seen in waters off Anini Beach. The 59-year-old man from Arizona was reported missing at just after 12 noon yesterday. We're told grief counselors are assisting the man's family. Hundreds of workers at Maui health hospitals and clinics are now on strike outside the Wailuku Medical Center. The planned 3-day action comes after a weekend of negotiations and no deal. Chelsea Davis has more from the Valley Isle.
Hundreds of healthcare workers, most of the essential staff, have walked out to begin their 3-day strike. You can see them, you can hear them, as well as all the cars that are driving by honking in support of them as well. And it's not just here, it's Kula Hospital as well as Lanai Community Hospital. Again, hundreds of healthcare workers say they need to do this to make a statement to demand that hospital management here hire more staff and provide better wages to maintain that staff. But to better explain all of this, what exactly they're doing and what they're fighting for, I'm joined by Matt Pelk. He is a CT tech here at the hospital. He's also the chair of the union, United Nurses and Healthcare Employees of Hawaii, which represents nearly 1,000 nurses, pharmacists, imaging technicians, and others. Thank you so much, Matt, for joining us this morning.
Thank you for having me.
You know, the management here sent us a statement. They said their offer is, quote, strong and highly competitive. What is your response to their offer?
I would say no offer is strong or competitive if it doesn't address the safe staffing these community needs. Every day they put this community at risk. It's not okay with the nurses here, and we're not willing to stand for that anymore. So we won't address any contract doesn't have safe staffing.
Okay. You know, their offer also that they sent to us said that they're offering across the board increases, including an 18% wage increase over 4 years. What is your response to that?
I would say no amount of money that they can try to bribe us with will be enough to put this community at jeopardy. So if we don't get safe staffing, we told them since day one, without safe staffing, we will not accept the contract. So until they address the needs of this community, we'll be fighting for that out here.
Thank you so much again for your time. I really appreciate it. You know, the hospital is open and will remain open during the duration of this strike. Again, it is a 3-day strike. These workers will return back to work on Thursday. Again, Maui Memorial Medical Center here in Wailuku, as well as Kula Hospital and Lanai Community Hospital as well. You know, hospital management sent us a statement, and they said that the hospital's emergency departments and clinics are open and will remain open for the duration of the strike. They also want to tell the patients and to still come down if they're seeking any help or treatment. They don't want to deter their patients from receiving help here and care here at the hospital.
Boeing's more than 32,000 striking machinists will vote for the third time on a contract proposal today. If a simple majority approved the offer, it would end the more than 7-week work stoppage that has halted most of the struggling company's airplane production. Results are expected late tonight after polls close at 7 p.m. Pacific time. The proposal includes 38% in raises over 4 years. All right, we want to go back to our cam in Hilo where you can see it is coming down there with the rain, and just in, a flash flood warning has been issued for the Big Island. That's going until 2 p.m. today, and that's because forecasters say rain in some areas is falling at a rate of up to 4 inches per hour, specifically Honolulu Stream and Wailuku River. They're continuing to rise, so there is the threat of flash flooding. So take precautions while you can. Again, a flash flood warning in effect for Hawaii Island until 2 o'clock today. We're going to have more on your forecast after this quick break.
How's it on this Monday? There's a flood watch that's on now for Maui and for Hawaii Island. A big plume of moisture is heading up from the southeast, and that's going to affect mainly those windward areas. So flooding conditions are possible for the east end of the state, likely through tomorrow, maybe even beyond that. So heads up, if you live in an area that is flooded before on Maui or Hawaii Island, take precautions. This is what we are expecting. Locally heavy rainfall for the east end of the state, maybe even some thunderstorms. And again, that could lead to flooding. Make sure you download the Hawaii News Now weather app so you can track the weather, the latest watches and alerts to keep you safe. And you can see there's already a fair bit of rain coming up for the east side of Hawaii Island, some of it hitting the east side of Maui as well. Not so much for Kauai and Oahu. So for Monday, if you're on the east end of the state, prepare for flooding conditions, and because the rain could linger around for the next couple of days. For Kauai and Oahu, we'll see windward and Mauka showers this morning. Not a lot of rain expected today, but there will be some passing showers for the next few days. So we're in for kind of a soggy weather pattern. Now the surf is still elevated for north and west shores. It was a big swell. It peaked yesterday. So good news for the Sunset Pro out at up in the North Shore. It will be dropping though, but still that high surf advisory has been extended. It's going to be big. It's going to be dangerous, and conditions will be a little choppier today because the winds will get stronger today, running at 15 to 20. So again, we got first alert weather days for Maui and for Hawaii Island through tomorrow. And for the rest of us, we're going to have these breezy winds with scattered showers, going to be quite damp all the way through Friday. Drier conditions are expected over the weekend.
It's an effort to improve internet access across the islands by asking residents to take a speed test. Now, the goal is to collect internet speed data across communities in Hawaii. Casey Lund has more from Kailua.
We are talking about Connect Kako, the Digital Detectives program, an effort to collect that internet speed data and help expand high-speed internet access to all communities in Hawaii. But we're also here at Kailua Intermediate learning about how important high-speed internet is to the students here. We're talking with Miss Nicole Laeha. We've got Dayton and Faith with us, and we're in the esports room. I'll start with you, Miss Nicole. Tell us a little bit about the esports program here and how things got started.
Okay, so esports started with the Drone Club 3 years ago. We were just kind of pouring into these after-school clubs and seeing how we could support students after school and get them in the STEM field. So the esports team this is our 3rd year, like I said, and we have achieved 2 first-place trophies in consecutive seasons and a 2nd place here.
So it's safe to say high-speed internet, pretty important for what you folks do.
Very, very important. If we have low ping, if the internet speed is low, we have problems with connectivity, and then the game doesn't run smoothly. So we're already steps behind, and we are no longer competitive.
And so it's important to gather this data so we can expand, like I said, internet access across the state. I want to just ask a little bit about esports. Faith, can you tell us a little bit of what you guys are playing and when you compete?
Okay, so every week we'll compete in one match against other schools, and we're having our playoffs next week, and we hope we can get first place in the playoffs.
And the games that your colleagues are playing behind you, tell us what games those are.
We are playing Fortnite.
Fortnite, awesome. And then what other games do you guys play?
We mainly use Fortnite, pretty much.
Awesome. Tell me, Dayton, what do you like about esports? You're the captain of the esports team, right?
Yeah, I'm the captain, so I quite like having the opportunity to lead a team, and I love collaboration, gaining collaboration skills.
Yeah, and this is just something that it comes naturally, I think, for younger people, but it's also a lot of fun, too.
Yeah, it's very fun in doing esports.
Awesome. Dayton, Faith, want to thank you, Miss Nicole. We appreciate you guys showing us around a little bit, the cool stuff that happens here. Again, a reminder that connectcako.org is the website where you can go to take that speed test. Today is the last day for the Digital Detectives program, encouraging those middle school, intermediate students to participate in that, take that test, that internet speed test, so the data gets submitted. That ultimately helps our state expand internet access to all those communities. We'll send things back into the studio for now.
Remember back in the early 2000s when everyone had an old school flip phone? Well, those so-called dumb phones are making a comeback. Jolene Kent explains.
We've all done it.
I cannot go to bed without looking for at least 2 hours on my phone.
And I'm scrolling on Instagram unnecessarily.
Now, many are fed up. A growing number of Americans are ditching their smartphones for old school dumb phones.
Remember those epic hang-ups?
In 2021, dumb phone sales made up under 1% of the mobile phone market. In 2022, it doubled to 2%, accounting for more than 6 million Americans. Daisy Krigbon and Will Stoltz found themselves each spending around 6 hours a day on their smartphones. So 2 years ago, the couple decided to go dumb.
When was the moment that you realized, okay, I have a big problem with technology?
When it prevented me from sleeping for years on end.
For me, it's when I realized I would go to a social setting and I would want to leave the room just to be on my phone.
But finding a simpler phone was harder than they thought.
That's when we got the idea we should just create a one-stop shop.
So they converted their East Los Angeles dining room into a new business, Dumb Wireless.
I'd say the most popular right now is the Light Phone 2. It's this little e-ink phone.
That's cute.
It's just talk and text and a couple other simple tools.
Stoltz and Krigbon both admit switching to a dumb phone is hard for most customers at first. But they believe something has got to change.
Is it a radical move to switch from a smartphone to a dumb phone?
I think it's radical to hand your life over to any phone, a smartphone. I think that's pretty radical. This isn't the next step for everybody, but this is a next step, and we hope that more and more people will take it.
Jolene Kent, CBS News, Los Angeles.
In today's news from the feeds, music producer and composer Quincy Jones has died at age 91. His publicist says he died peacefully, surrounded by family in his Bel Air, California home. Jones is best known for polishing the work of Ray Charles, Frank Sinatra, and Michael Jackson. In a statement, his family says they're celebrating his life despite their broken hearts. And in consumer travel news, seeing the Northern Lights is on the bucket list of so many travelers out there. Last month, many were able to view the Northern Lights, but if you weren't able to, you still have more opportunities to do so in the coming months. Jen Sullivan has more tips for travelers in today's Consumer Watch.
It's one of the most majestic natural phenomena, Aurora Borealis, commonly known as the Northern Lights. And between now and early 2026, viewers have the best chance to see it.
We are getting the best views of the Northern Lights in decades.
Expedia Group travel expert Melanie Fish says she's recently seen a surge in people booking trips specifically to see the Northern Lights. And according to vacation rental company Vrbo, which recently released a phenomena list, seeing the Northern Lights is #1, with 61% of travelers wanting to see it in 2025.
The demand for trips to see the Northern Lights is really, phenomenal.
So why is this a good time to see the Northern Lights? NOAA says it's driven by solar activity, and when space weather activity increases and bigger, more frequent storms occur, the aurora can be seen, and that's exactly what's happening now. And viewers are getting to see it in some unexpected places, like New York City.
You're going to have to be patient because they don't just appear on demand.
Fish recommends these tips for travelers. The further north you go, the better chances of seeing the Northern Lights. Track the lunar calendar and book your trip when the moon is smallest. Have a cancellation policy in case you need to make changes due to weather. And the best viewing state